Thank you for listening to the very first episode of the 4020 podcast, giving you a first look at the nerds of 4020. Fake Eric kicks us off with a belch, we explore the unknown of No Man's Sky, and we discuss the ins and outs of DMing in the realms of D&D. So sit back and enjoy episode 1, Meet the Nerds.
This is podcast 4020. We got Zodiac, myself, and my boy Breezy.
What up?
And then we got Fake Eric.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And yeah, we're just chilling. This is our chill stream. If you guys have any content you want to talk about, we can move forward with some news.
Okay. Yeah, I think news would be good.
Yeah. I know that you were talking about some new stuff coming out for Warhammer 40K.
Yeah, they Warhammer 40K just released their pre-orders for Tooth and Claw. It's a brand new box set you can get between Space Wolves and Gene Stealer Cult. It's pretty dope. They got some brand new sculpts, and anything in that box is going to be brand new out of the Codex. It's set to release later this month.
Cool.
So
yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out because I play Space Wolves, so
yeah.
Definitely gonna need to check that out. Also, the Codex is coming out August 20th.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Grab my
hands
on that.
It's gonna be dope, man. But
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Then you were also saying there was some new stuff for D&D 5e.
Yeah, there's some new errata coming out. They basically call it Unearthed Arcana, and it's going to be dealing with a lot of the new things coming out for anytime they release a new book, like say like Xanathar's Guide to Everything, or they release a new adventure path, like very similar to what Pathfinder does. They'll release errata to go along with it, like to interpret certain abilities or certain powers that certain classes might get. So a lot of those coming out are actually going to modify certain existing class abilities to make them a lot more playable. Do more damage, change how the spells work, that sort of thing.
So it's like a configuration change kind of the classes instead of...
Yeah, it'll deal with things like, this ability is confusing, how does the company interpret that ability?
Right, so it's like updating any other game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just broadband for anyone who plays locally in any kind of setting where you use official material only. Mm-hmm. That'll be greatly needed.
Cool.
I'm the newbie here with D&D, so...
I dabble in D&D.
You dabble. I haven't.
You haven't dabbled yet. You need to get your hand on some dice and start rolling them.
I've got one here.
We knew this was going to happen.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't drink Mountain Dew.
Little Caesars before a podcast.
Yeah, Little Caesars Mountain Dew.
Not a good idea.
When I don't eat pizza or drink Mountain Dew very often, it's going to happen.
It is what it is, man. I mean,
I feel like it's a proper way to start a podcast like this, is to eat pizza and drink Mountain Dew.
If you can't get a good belch out to start a podcast, I mean, what are you doing?
You're not doing it right.
That's not the last one either. Probably.
So dude, I would love for you to start playing some D&D, man.
I would really
definitely be like the wizard.
Yeah, you think so?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, hey, I'm down for throwing some fireballs or shooting some lightning out of my hands, whatever I can do. But I've always wanted to, and just every time I've attempted to play D&D, it just never pans out. And I want it to be, when I do it the first time, I want it to be legit. Like, I don't want it to just be thrown together. Like, I actually want to experience it the right way.
You need to come, because I tell you what, we got the best DM in the game sitting right here at this table.
It's me. I lied the whole time.
It's Fake Eric. He's the DM. Yeah. But no, yeah, man, we'd love to have you come in for a game, man. I mean,
I would love to. Yeah.
We actually want to start when we get the capabilities. Actually, start game casting some of our D&D games.
Yeah, I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll definitely be worthwhile for anyone who does audio. I mean, like just coming up with all the audio stuff that I put into my games. I mean, if that's what you're into, then we can definitely.
He's got great storylines. He even makes set lists, like playlists on Spotify. Yeah. So when we get into like dungeons and stuff, it gets pretty intense.
It gets pretty tense.
Awesome. Yeah. But, that's pretty awesome.
But I will say, like, D&D is all about the people you play with. Like, if you play with people that are just like, whatever, magic missile,
no one wants to stick in the mud as far as
exactly.
Right.
You all have to get into it. So, like, I know there's a few people that I've listened to their podcasts and stuff where it's just audio and they do game casts and they're all into it with the voices and like they're really descriptive with the scenery and stuff.
I feel like you have to do it that way. It wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So cool.
You want to be able to throw your voice around a little bit just to get the ambiance of the scene,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. What else, man? Pathfinder 2.0?
Oh yeah, the Pathfinder's been out for a while. It's basically like a revamp for if anyone ever played D&D 3rd edition, they had a lot of rules, a rules heavy system that they thought was very robust and very well put together. So what Pathfinder did was just take that rule set and just expand upon it. Make it their own with a whole new core mechanic of how it works out. It's more or less not as simplified as was the newer 5e, because 5e is newer than Pathfinder, but it does resemble D&D 3rd edition quite a bit. And then they're coming out with version 2.0 of Pathfinder, and it's set to playtest the beginning of this month, I think. Well, yeah, a couple days from now, set to begin their playtest. So they're releasing that on beta rules. You can download those for free from Paizo's website.
Nice.
So yeah, any guys rolling dice, you can get that new rule set, and it flows just along with Pathfinder as it does with any of their current modules they have out. You can run that alongside it seamlessly.
Okay.
Cool.
Dude, I would love for you to maybe do a little side podcast stream of just incorporating things on how to be a good DM. I think that'd be something you could definitely do. Yeah,
I'm not the best DM. I take credit where it's due, but I can just share things that I've learned, and the easiest lessons are ones that when you speak to your strengths, everything just sort of falls into place after that. I like to be very descriptive and stuff, so yeah, putting out a series where I can talk about that, sure.
Word.
Sounds like a win to me.
I like it.
So you're our reigning PC expert, Eric.
PC Master Race. I didn't want to blow the mic out there, and I knew I would have. So I covered my face.
All right, he's fired now.
You're not. You have to pay me first before you can fire me. Pretty sure I'm doing this for free. I should be playing World of Warcraft right now, but we'll get to that.
Yeah,
we'll get to that. I came out of my cave for a little bit. So I probably about 2 years ago started the whole PC Master Race thing. Just everything's PC now. I love it. I don't know why. I think it's just the accessibility to be able to just get whatever you want. Now you don't have to worry about physical copies. You don't have to worry about. You have to worry about space limitations, but it's not nearly as bad as some consoles can be. It's like older consoles are like PS3. I remember just maxing that thing out all the time, where it's like, yeah, you gotta delete some games. It's like.
Did you ever have a terabyte?
No. I had one of the very first PS3, so it was 80 gig.
Oh yeah.
And then you get a year into it, games are 5 gigs, so it's
But you never bought an external terabyte?
I always thought about it, but I didn't really have a lot of money back then. So.
Yeah, I think if you do play console, I think it's a must.
To swap your hard drive out, yeah.
You're looking at 30 gig games now, just off the hop.
Yeah,
so,
there's some I play where it's 50 gigs. It's oh my god, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's relatively inexpensive. You can get a 2 terabyte drive like I got for $80.
They're getting a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just amazes me. Not to be the old man here, but the fact that you can, just in your palm of your hand is a little mini, stick that holds as much as what used to be a huge machine. But,
right.
I won't go down that path.
Cell phones and spaceships, right?
So, yeah. We're living in the fucking future.
Cool. So, what's coming out for PC? Because I know nothing about PC. I'm a console player. So,
So I guess the easiest way to say this is most things come out on PC a little bit after, especially if they're more console related games. If it's a Sony or Microsoft thing, it's usually not pushed to PC until a little bit later. And that's the case with some of these games. Yakuza 0 came out at the beginning of the month, August 1st. I haven't played it, but I've got a friend who I watched play it for a long time. I've watched some streamers play it. It's basically just you deal with the Yakuza in all these ways. There's very deep storylines, a lot of dialogue, which I know can turn some people off, but in between all that dialogue is you just meeting gangs of dudes in the street and then beating the crap out of them. And it's just so entertaining to watch, because it's just this guy going about his life, and then all of a sudden 3 dudes will just pop out, and then you pick up a giant sign and you're whacking them with it, or and then you kind of burst into flames almost, and that makes you more powerful. It's intense, and I thought it was really enjoyable. I may get around to it. Also, we have Dead Cells, which is a pixelated side-scrolling action game. It's an indie title. I played a little bit of it. It's pretty fun. There was a whole to-do about reviews and some plagiarism stuff there, which I'm sure people have heard about by now. But it's entertaining. It's just a neat little indie game that has been getting a lot of hype, a lot of good reviews. And then Shenmue 1 and 2 is coming out later this month, which my 12-year-old self could not be more excited for that, because I played the crap out of both of those on Dreamcast back in the day.
Dreamcast, throwback.
Yeah.
So it's and the Dreamcast didn't last long, but it's basically a real life simulator. The whole storyline is you're getting revenge for your father's death, but the game is parsed out where you're basically just looking for clues to who killed your dad, but you're basically living your life. So you can like go to the arcade, or you can like buy little toys from the machine, or you can like at some point in the game you start working at the docks, and like that's how you get more clues and shit. And it's so some people found it rather boring, but I just thought it was the best thing ever when I was a kid. And they're remastering those and putting them on the PC on Steam. So it's like it's like Yakuza, but way calmed down from that. You're not just getting jumped by dudes all the time.
Super mellow tone.
Yeah. And when you do get into fights, they're rather calm. I mean, it's not too crazy. Like you got a few guys around you, and you just have to beat them up. But it's not as nearly as intense as Yakuza. But I'm definitely buying that, and I will try and pry myself away from WoW to do so. But I don't know. I make no promises.
Sweet. Well, I'm excited for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. I've been waiting a long time, and they freaking pushed back the release, and which Rockstar is known to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay because they did the same thing with GTA 5, and they pushed back the release on it when it came out. It was like,
yeah, and it doesn't make it's still their moneymaker. Like they make millions of dollars off that game.
Oh yeah, like Grand Theft Auto, even their DLC stuff's just
Mm-hmm. I mean, it just got to the point where it's cheap. They took it down in price. Like even up to a few months ago, it was still like $50.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's finally getting down to like $20. Because I've always thought about buying it, but I'm like, I'm not paying $50, $60 for it.
I mean, it's definitely worth $50-$60. I mean, the campaign alone is fun. And,
I mean, I can't argue that. I just don't like the GTA series enough to pay that kind of money for it.
Right. But I will say that playing online, which is a theme for a show up down the road, possibly talking about online gaming and kind of where it's at now. But my goodness, it's it's very frustrating.
Yeah, well, there's some people on Twitch that do like role playing, so they all get into GTA and like role play, and they never break character. Like they even if like a car just comes out of nowhere, careens into them, they have to like play it off like, oh, I just got hit by a car, oh, my neck, my head.
But hey, I mean that kind of stuff that could be a challenge though for a gamer.
Yeah,
to come up with reasons why you would do things in character.
Right. Yeah, because you'll see that some of them have face cam while they're doing it, and you'll see them. They're like, they didn't expect that, so it's shock at first. Then they're like, oh, that's right, I can't just go, haha, wasn't that hilarious that just happened? They have to play it off like it's real life.
Unless you have a really narcissistic character, in which case you could do that.
Yeah.
But I think Red Dead 2 looks really good. This is the first trailer that actually had some gameplay content in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the graphics look pretty sweet. The map seems to be the biggest that I've seen out of a Red Dead game. They're kind of doing some more stuff with kind of like, not survival, it's not so much like PvE, but like the way you hunt and, kind of, play off the environment a little bit. It looks like a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
So, and they also, one thing I was kind of concerned with, because those games kind of like you use the honor code, so like you have a choice of like being a badass like bandit outlaw or like being a law-abiding citizen. But with this one, I don't know how that's really going to play with the storyline, because technically you were in a gang, whereas in the Red Dead Redemption,
you kind of had a choice.
You had a choice because you were an ex-gang member, so
right?
You were trying to straighten your life out, but there could be like a little bit of a dirty side to you, still,
right? Yeah.
But this was kind of like, no, you're living with outlaws and bandits, so like, of course, I'm going to tie people up and put them on the railroad track.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot somebody in the face. It's the Wild West.
Like, that's going to happen. So, but I know that like, if you choose to be bad, then like you pay more for goods in stores and stuff like that, and people are scared of you, and it limits some of your gameplay content. I'm kind of concerned about that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's still going to be a lot of fun, and plus it's going to be online capability, so you can play multiplayer online and stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good. I know some people were worried that they were going to start maybe do like a battle royale mode in that, and they were like, "Please don't do that."
Yeah. That's that's kind of like the theme now. Everybody's like battle royale crazy. You got to have some like space away from that. If I want to play battle royale, I'll play some I'll play Fortnite or whatever.
For me, the best step is don't. As long as you don't do battle royale, anything else you do is unique to me at this point. Because it seems like in games you get this trend. It's like, okay, battle royale. That's what everybody's doing. Like every major is like put battle royale in it somehow. Like it's just got to be in there.
Yeah.
And so when somebody comes along and does something just a little bit, even if it's just regular online multiplayer, that's so much better than just like, oh, it's the same. It's PUBG. It's Fortnite. It's DayZ. It's whatever.
I think Call of Duty's like trying to go to a battle royale
type situation. Yeah, like I mean, Call of Duty's done great leaps and bounds with their zombies mode and stuff like that, but I don't. I mean, like you said, everybody's doing it, so it's not. It's not anything new. It's not unique.
Yeah. Well, and even you said zombies. Even that was one of those things where it was like everybody's like zombie mode, but it's just a horde mode or something. It's just fight waves until you die.
Right.
So it changes. Right now it's battle royale. Who knows what the next thing will be? But
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
it's just a game where you can't play it. You just have to give them money. That's where we're really getting towards.
They're basically just asking you to pay money to them to have the newest iteration of their next game.
Yeah.
That's what the game's called. Take my money.
Take my money.
Yep.
It's published by EA.
Published by I was about to say. Man, there's all kinds of memes about that.
They're the worst.
It's
They're
the
worst
best thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, most of those are like the sports games, dude. Like it's crazy. Like I look at
because they own
like,
the rights to every sport, basically.
Yeah, when they like the new like NBA 2K comes out or something like that, like the pre-order packages are like $140. Like there was like one for like the Kobe Bryant Ultimate Edition or something like that. I was like $140, like crazy. There's no way, dude. But people pay it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done a special edition.
They're making a killing off those games.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done a special edition. Like maybe like a $10 extra and you get this stuff. Like sure, but I'm not paying $150 for a figurine and a weird book that comes. It's like I can buy those.
I think for Red Dead they have like the last I checked they had like 3 levels. And there was like the standard, which is just the game, and then like there's like an $80 version, and it gives you a horse. It gives you like a couple of other missions, I think, and like some like art and stuff like that. But I think I'm gonna get the $80 version because the horse that they give you was like.
I mean that's that's 20. Yeah, that's $20 more. That's not out of the question.
Plus, I mean, if it's a game that you're gonna enjoy, I know I'm gonna.
Yeah, right. Hours and hours into it, you're just gonna pay off.
Yeah, I really like the whole concept with like I play a lot of Smite. High Res, what's up? You guys are awesome.
Sponsor us.
Smite, Paladins, like I play a lot of those games, and those games are free downloads. And if you wanted to keep it free, you could. And I mean, you could find, they usually give you a handful of characters to start out with, but then they say, hey, if you really like this game, then you can spend the money on it. And I think like to unlock all the characters, it's like $30, I think, on both of those. And I mean, dude, that's like, I would gladly pay $30. I've definitely got my $30 worth out of Smite, dude. I play the crap out of that game, and it's a lot of fun, and I don't mind investing in it that way, But I think if you're taking away content, like from story mode or taking away content that you should get in a game purchase, like that's when I have a problem.
Like you talk about like things in news sources about like blocking content with DLCs, like that kind of thing. Like if you pre-order for $90, you can get everything.
And which even if you don't, it's still on there.
Yeah, it's
but
still
you can't
there.
have it.
You can't get it. Yeah. Paywalls are the bane of every gamer's existence.
Yeah.
We should go on strike.
Riot. Riot in the streets around Activision.
Like those 3 guys down there are not playing video games anymore. We got to change our strategy up.
Yeah. Their sales market teams are just losing their minds.
It's one guy, everything's on fire. He's like, ah!
The meme where he throws them out of the building.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do about these 3 guys?
Tell them to shove off out the window.
But speaking of the DLC type, like free to play, like StarCraft 2. I know I played StarCraft 2 for a while. And speaking of your PC Master Race, they went to a free to play mode with their games, and I think it amplified the gameplay. Whereas like before, when you go into a game, you didn't know what to expect. Like you might like go into a game like Protoss v Zerg, and they come out with the Zerg Rush, and you just get slaughtered. But playing online, if you're playing with Megara, she doesn't Zerg Rush. I mean, she has Swarmlings, but that's more of like a cannon fire type situation. Her big hitters come in the form of like other queens who can creep crawl around.
Right.
Things like that go to free to play. I think are much needed in the gaming industry.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's all. I mean, just straightforward. It's all about the money now, and it shows. It's like playing a mobile game. Like if you play a mobile game, it's like, hey, if you can buy this currency, it'll make you can get extra stuff, or you can play longer, or whatever. That's a whole topic for another time about mobile games.
We're going to get off on a tangent. I can already feel it. I can already feel it.
Yeah. Stop me.
How am I going to rope us back in here?
Yeah, stop me. I'm good.
But yeah, I mean, I get it. Like that's like I say, that's definitely another topic for another day. But anyway, to get us back on track, I guess. I guess we're going to get into our main content now.
Okay.
We all have something to talk about. So I guess who wants to go first?
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is interesting for us. I mean, via podcast. I know you can't see this right now, but we're going to do an initiative roll. In D&D, that is to say, like when you enter combat, you don't get to go first. Initiative decides who goes in what order, and that might be the difference between you taking an arrow to the knee.
Yeah, and that can end your career as an adventurer.
So what do we got for Breezy? What's Breezy rolling?
See, it's a 5.
Okay.
All right. So fake Eric.
16.
Oh, he's got a 16. Let's see if
Nat
Zodiac
20. Here
can
comes a
beat
nat 20.
Oh,
19.
19.
Close. All right, so it looks like Zodiac's going to kick us off. Then we'll go to fake Eric, and then I'll wrap it up.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah. Moving along with the D&D. I mean, of course, you guys know. I mean, I DM kind of regularly for our group of guys at work. It kind of moves in a way where we enjoy the game. I mean, I like a narrative game. Mm-hmm. I dig the role play. Not so much as like dungeon crawls all the time, because I mean combat for a DM gets kind of frustrating when you have a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you said about a D&D series, I mean we could do that in the future, definitely. But content for me, like when we're starting games up and stuff, is just as long as we're having fun.
Yeah.
I mean that's the main goal of any kind of game I play. You can role play. I mean you can go full on with the narrative. But I feel like if you don't have a punch behind it, you're not really, getting the game started off like you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. But that balance in game is what I shoot for, So, I guess the main reasons that people get turned off for D&D is like, not having time or enough availability for friend space or even just just general interest. Some people get turned off with the fact that it's like a competitive RPG between your friends. But if you got a good group of friends, it's not necessarily the case, Yeah. And just building on that with people you have around you, constantly. It's so exciting for me. Like if we come off of a game and we're like, oh man, that game was great. It was super fun. Like remember that thing you did? Blasting that guy to death.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything like that. Every moment like that, I enjoy. To my core as far as DMing goes.
It's funny you say that because I've been setting up our social media for this podcast, and so I followed a bunch of people, and I followed Dungeons and Dragons. I think it was like on Twitter or something like that, and they would tweeted out, "Hey, what's the most rewarding thing about being a DM?" And a lot of people say exactly that. Like whenever people leave the game and talk about the game the next day at work or whatever, like how awesome it was, and it's like that was really rewarding. So
yeah, like I said, it's all about having fun. I mean, if you guys are having fun. That's point blank period. That's done for me.
I don't think ours ever really get competitive in nature though. Like I don't think we've ever.
No, we don't have that problem in our group. Not necessarily.
I'm gonna have to change that.
we've never battled each other though.
No,
which is kind of what I want to try.
Narratively, that stuff tends to happen. If you have like a high narrative game, I mean, if you have a character whose motivations say that no, we're gonna keep this guy alive, and you had the opposite reaction across the table, there could be some conflict there.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily have to ruin your game. I mean, as long as you're coming from a narrative perspective, like, oh, my character would have a problem with this because of X, Y, Z,
And see, I think that I know for me, I don't even think about it that way. Like, I guess I should, but I don't really think about what my character would do. I always think about hey, I'm playing with Joe and Cody. We're gonna go into this dungeon and we're gonna fight it together. It always kind of has that we're in this together kind of feel.
Right.
Because you want to have that removed sensation as well. It's a 2-part game. You have player and character in one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as far as the whole with your character, I know Shabazz. I mean, your character you're currently playing is kind of high level. I mean, that's not normal to happen that way. But I wanted to give the guys a taste of what high level play would be like, and it's been interesting so far. I mean, are you enjoying it?
Oh yeah, dude. I think the last session we had was my favorite so far. I think we played 3 or 4 sessions.
I think
so.
With you
yeah.
guys.
And it was definitely by far my most favorite one.
Yeah, that's good, man.
But I will say, it was a lot of homework. I don't necessarily like that.
Yeah, that part of the game it tends to be a kind of a chore. But I mean,
once you get there, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I say it's bad doing the homework. It was kind of fun doing the homework because look at all this stuff I get to do. I can do this. I get to choose out of this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just is kind of a lot because you think you're done. You're like, oh, you would be like, oh, did you do this? I'm like, no.
Yeah, and a lot of that stems from the whole fact that you are level 15. So over the course of a game, you might spend 2 years just getting to level 15.
Right.
Over the course of a game, if you start level 1, that kind of situation just builds over time.
Yeah. So I would love to in the future, like start at like ground level.
Ground
and
level,
like, you know, build, at least have like a side session that we're doing that, so you can kind of see the whole progression. You know, and it's not quite so overwhelming, because I think that was kind of the thing. I mean, I'm kind of new to D&D. Like, I don't really play a lot. So, like, being like, hey, make a level 15 character. I'm like...
yeah, you're kind of in the dark about it.
Yeah, you know, like, so... But, I mean, it's been a lot of fun, man. I've really enjoyed it.
But, yeah, if you look into, like, things like, I mean, this isn't just from D&D 5e. I mean, our main game is D&D 5, like 5th edition. But, I mean, I've looked into games like, I've played everything from 3rd edition to 3.5, 4th edition, and even a little bit of Pathfinder when I played with another group in Greenwood. But, I mean, as far as gameplay, 5e is the simplest to get onto.
Yeah.
If you can find a game where you're playing 5e, you're playing one of the simplest, most robust systems they have for D&D currently. And they're all the time coming out with modules and expansions. And like I said, they've released about 20 of these Unearthed Arcana packs that go along with the main core rulebooks that just tell you, hey, if you want extra options for your wizard, say you want to cast a different spell, say you want your abilities not to function as just a part of your spellcasting features, like you want to have a unique set of like suite of abilities that complement your character's background, like Errata is definitely the place you want to go to. Like Unearthed Arcana, I know they had a release where they're doing playtest for the Forge Cleric, which was just like, you know, obviously if you're playing a Dwarf Cleric, why would you not have a Forged Domain? So when they released it, I mean, it was well received by the community. So they ended up applying it to one of their newer books. I forget which one it was, but yeah, that stuff kind of matters. Yeah. To give new options and things like that. But yeah, I mean, after our current game ends, we'll be moving on to another game, possibly a dungeon run, like a big one, like a nice underground, you know, foray.
That's my vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's looking that way. You know, we have a lot of I think flexibility in our group. We can kind of pick our game types and stuff. But then after that, we'll be shifting gears to go into a sci-fi setting. Yeah. Which I think is just phenomenal, that you can just, you know, pick up a game system and just, you know, look at it and see how robust it is and just run it. For me as a dungeon master, because I kind of know the system that I'm picking up coming off of 3rd edition in Pathfinder. But the Starfinder game is what we'll be playing after that, and it's just, I think the system is great. The Unearthed Arcana-esque errata that they've had for their games simplifies the starship combat to a point where it's just a simple die roll. I mean, you know, you're looking at your checks, the stuff that you make for your starships in combat, like shooting lasers and you know, balancing your shields. Anything you see in a Star Trek episode, you know, they have actions for those things in game, and the DCs are relatively normal, you know, based upon your level and the tier of ship that you have. I mean, it makes piloting a ship super easy and super flexible. But yeah, looking forward to that quite a bit.
Cool. So, if someone has never played D&D, why should they play?
Well, honestly, the community. Like if you have friends you talk to on a daily basis, getting together with those friends and just gaming or getting to know them on that level, just for hanging out. That's the reason we play it.
Yeah, I think kind of like to speak to that, it's a nice refresh from like sitting behind a TV screen playing a game. You know, even now that you can have like chat going on, you can play games together even when you're not together. But I don't know, there's something about getting around a table, and it's not, you know, I think the creativity, like you really have to use your imagination, you know, more so than just having graphics displayed on a screen. You know what I mean? It's like when you set the scene, like I'm thinking about what you're describing, and you have to even like remember things that are there, because like you can't physically see things that are there. So you kind of have to like listen to the description, remember. But just like the creativity, how you play with other characters, like to their strengths, and like you can, I mean, it's an RPG, so like the options are limitless almost.
Oh yeah, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
and even beyond, like the whole thing of like, you know, being creative and coming up with scenarios for that is in like when I describe a scene, like if you're in our game, Eric, you know, I mean, if we're looking at a scene, you know, and I tell, you know, I set the scene, you know, with a setting, Breezy might come up and say, well, I thought it was going to be like this, and you might have a different interpretation. But then, you know, that goes into your head canon, and I'm not going to correct that as a DM ever. Right. Because what happens in your head is how the story should progress. So, I mean, that type of creativity comes out with just hanging out with your friends. I mean, you can explain the story all in your own head to yourself. Right, yeah. And then you have the best experience that way.
So you said you've like tried to play D&D.
I've tried. Like we've set our characters up. We got started. It didn't last long, and then it was over.
Why didn't it last long?
Just being adults, all having our own things to do, and just not being able to come to an agreement as far as like times we could do it and whatnot.
But I mean, as far as like hopeful in the game. I mean, did you look forward to it? Or
Yeah. Because the guy that was supposed to DM is very good at it. And I just, like you said, the community I was looking forward to. It wasn't even so much about playing D&D as it was just getting together with my friends and doing something like that. Because I enjoy their company anyways. Mm-hmm. But like, if you add something that we all enjoy in some way, shape, or form, like, it makes it even more exciting to do something like that. So I'm kind of bummed it hasn't happened. It probably will at some point, but said we had people drop out almost immediately. We had a guy that was going to be our tank, basically, and he just rolled the craziest numbers. Like, he would have been invincible, basically, from his stat rolls, and then he was like, I can't do it. And then he quit his job, and then we never saw him after that. So, that kind of stuff, So that was
okay? I mean,
do we even call this guy?
I don't know. I mean, we know he's still alive. We know that much. So
those stats are helping out.
But that was kind of like, I was like, he would have been good. Like, had he stayed with us, his rolls were just. It was just like a nat 20 once. He was just like rolling high on everything. It was just ridiculous. But I honestly don't even remember what I was going to be, like some sort of elf or something. I can't remember at this point, but because that was over a year ago. But I'll get into it. I'll join you guys sometime.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, well, my turn. I get to nerd out about World of Warcraft for the next few minutes.
Nerd out, man. Do it.
Even though I've been doing that for the past 4 straight days. The new World of Warcraft expansion came out Monday night. So I just want to do some pros and cons because I've played it enough already to where I feel like I can properly judge what it's got so far. First con, one of the server that I mainly play on was down for like the longest time. We all got in. We were all standing next to the guy was there to start the next quest to move into the new expansion stuff. And there's like hundreds of people all within one location. So of course, as soon as that little thing pops up, clicking like crazy from like hundreds of people. So of course we're like, we can't get it. And then like, boom, it's gone, it's down. And we're like, oh no. So we sit there for the next 3 hours. It was like 6 o'clock. So until about 9 o'clock, none of us could get in. And then shortly after that, they figured a workaround using IPv6 instead of IPv4. And unfortunately, my modem and router don't do that. So I couldn't get in, but they could. So they were ahead of us. We got in about 1 o'clock, played till about 3, and then went to bed, got up again in the morning, started doing it again. So outside of that, I can't believe that a company that's been doing this for like 15 years still can't get it right.
I mean, you had to see that coming.
Right, that's the thing. That's the thing is like, you got to know your servers are going to get hard. We kind of got the raw end because there were only like 3 servers that had that happen. Everybody else was fine. So it was almost good. It's just those last few, but they decided this year to just let everybody start at once, and that was the biggest problem. They used to phase it out, so like so many people would get through that point, and then it'd roll over, and then the next few people. Because I mean, it's like obviously if everybody's trying to do the same thing at once, it's just going to crash those servers, regardless of how good they are. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, it was just like at one point, and I have a pretty nice computer. It was like starting to lag out because there were so many people, and my fan and my computer was like, so. It was pretty crazy, but let's see. What do I want to do? Pros or cons first? Some pros. It looks great. They've definitely updated the graphics a little bit. The designs for the new. There's 2 islands, one for the Horde, and one for the Alliance. You start on your own. You do a bunch of quests, and then once you get to a certain point, you can move over to the other one, and that's where it gets more difficult because you're basically in enemy territory the whole time. So there are certain parts where you can kind of stay out and you won't really get messed with. But there's cities, like if you get too close, they have guards that'll come up and just basically hit you twice and you're dead. So like sometimes I'll just be trying to get somewhere, and because it's the bad guy side, I don't have as many points to fly from, so I'm just running through stuff. Next thing you know, there's this guy behind me and I'm dead. And I'm like, wow, great. Like, that's fun. But it's an interesting mechanic they added because in the story, over the past few expansions, both sides have been working together over, whoever the main bad guy is in this, whatever expansion it is. But now that all that's done and there's no more big bad guy to fight, they've started fighting each other again. So that's the whole theme of this one is Horde versus Alliance. So you can there's something called War Mode you can turn off or on. If you turn it off, you can't get attacked by the enemy side, but if you turn it on, you can. And that's where it gets really crazy because you you'll run up to like, oh, I'm going to go turn this quest in. You'll get in a little city, and there's just hundreds of people fighting each other, and you're like, well, I'll come back and do that later, or I'll like go to the city.
Sounds like Los Santos.
Yeah, it's like I'll cut war mode off and come back, so that way I can't die.
Yeah,
like
my experience with Warcraft was like that. Just for the very briefest time playing it, my little gnome, man, just going to this one town.
Yeah.
And the moment I step in the town, it gets raided.
Yeah.
And I'm right in the middle.
Yeah, and that was happening right before the expansion happened. That was happening a lot. Was us raiding back and forth in the major cities, and 2 of the major cities got destroyed in this last expansion. The story's really good. Like, they've added a lot of cutscenes, which was basically only saved for like when you hit major points in the story or you killed the final boss. Then you'd get a big cutscene with all the story stuff to wrap up and everything. But in this one, it's just like you'll do a few quests and it'll be like, here's a cutscene with something cool happening, and some of them are really good. So I like that kind of stuff. My only problem with it is it's a lot of the same. Like, they've tweaked it a little bit, but it's still a lot of the same. Like, I mean, obviously it's still WoW, so you're gonna have to go quest, go pick up items or kill things, and then come back and just grind like that. But they've also got what are called, I can't remember what they call them now, but they're little missions, and basically you get these little like characters, and you can place them into certain missions, and then you get rewards for placing. And then you just you place them in, hit go. And then you can just leave it and come back however many hours later.
So you have your own side quest.
Right. So basically a little side quest going on that gives you gear or loot or whatever, rep. And so they had that in the past 2 expansions before that. So it's like the exact same thing again, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I've really been enjoying it just because this is the first time in probably 4 expansions that I started the day it came out. And like just the absolute insanity that was that game the first couple of days. Like, just people everywhere, stuff like prices on items were out of control, and like, because it's like, there were certain things where it's like, I can go buy this now, and when the expansion comes out and it's gone, I can sell it for thousands and thousands of gold. Like, stuff is just ridiculous.
So it's like Black Friday.
It is, yeah. So, but it's our
World of Warcraft edition.
Yeah. But with that, the thing is, people start lowballing. They start going lower. It's like, well, somebody will buy it if I put it for like 100 gold less, and then that just right down all the way to where like now stuff that used to be worth thousands of gold is worth like 5. Yeah. And it's just like, well, guess that's out of there. Because I made 50,000 gold the first day just from selling stuff that I was making, and now like I wouldn't get anywhere close to that. So just hopped on that bandwagon real quick, and now I'm back into actually doing stuff. But I'm for the first time in probably my entire WoW career, which has been on and off, I'm trying to do current stuff. So like keep up with. So when the raid comes out, we're doing it day 1. And we've just been pushing really hard to the point where like we're doing mythics, which are like the hardest dungeons you can do up before doing raids. And people are like, why are you doing it? There's like no reason you should be in there. And I was, well, we can get through it. It's not easy, but we can get through it for now. And it's just super, it's weirdly rewarding to know that I'm like that far ahead of other people. Cause like I know people that are like still at the very beginning, they haven't really done much, but I'm already at max level and doing stuff that's giving me gear that most people don't have, which I love. I'm a little nervous because I always hate doing stuff right away because you have to learn. So there's a lot of like, it's like, okay, we're going to do this raid. We're going to give it 3 hours, and then you spend those 3 hours on the first boss, and there's like 10 in that raid, and you have a week to do it. So it's like it's going to be like a week of maybe getting through 1 or 2. And then you'll know those well enough to where the next week you can get through those 2, maybe get through another one. And it's just going to take forever. But I'm excited. It'll be a challenge. Because when I started again a couple of years ago, it was towards the end of Legion. And everybody was already overpowered. And like you could just walk through everything. Like you didn't even have to try. And now you're actually having to try to like kill stuff and not die. And like it's just rough. But it's enjoyable. I think it's more rewarding to do that than just walking through everything and not having to even think about it, which I learned very quickly. But it's fun. It's another WoW expansion. Whether I'll be playing it again when the next expansion comes out, because it's usually like once every 2 years, I don't know. Because I tend to get burned out. I'm already burned out after like 4 straight days of playing it, but we'll see. But that is what I've been doing for the past like 4 straight days, man. And I've enjoyed it. So
you look very pale.
Thanks, man. I mean, I look very pale all the time.
Yeah, you might need some sun.
Yeah, probably. I tried to get outside a couple of times, but not enough to get some sun. So, but yeah.
Well, speaking of suns,
Yeah.
I have been playing No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Let me be the first to say that I'm not a huge mining crafting gamer.
Sure.
Matter of fact, I generally hate them.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
wasn't crazy about Minecraft. I mean, if you like Minecraft, hey, I'm glad it's there for you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that there's a gaming experience for you, but not for me.
Yeah.
Then my friends jumped on the Ark Survival bandwagon.
Sure. Yeah.
We played that for a while. That game was just miserable. Like it was just not fun.
That's one of those where like once you die, you lose everything, right?
Yeah, I mean they have like certain save points. I mean, but yeah, pretty much. Yeah. If you die, you lose a lot of stuff.
Which that's just I can't take that. I can't.
Yeah.
Having to back build is never fun.
Yeah. Absolutely frustrating.
Yeah.
But I think out of all the mining crafting games that I have played, which is very limited, but I think that No Man's Sky is probably the best one. So that's why I'm going to continue to play it, because I really do want to give it a shot. I don't want to make quick judgments because of like past experiences.
Right. Yeah.
But I'll do the same kind of thing, pros and cons. So here's my takeaways. I haven't played a whole lot. Like I say, it's very hard for me to get motivated to play this game. But I got a lot of friends that play it, so I've been trying to be fair. They play games that I want to play. I try to play games that they want to play. Some of the pros, the mining crafting is easier and is less time consuming as say Ark Survival. I'm going to compare it to Ark Survival because I've played Ark Survival and they are similar in certain ways.
Yeah.
I know with Ark Survival, like it was so difficult to like gather things. It took you so long. You would spend hours.
That's what I remember seeing.
Just to like gather the resources to make a simple little building. Like, It would take you hours to gather everything. Which in No Man's Sky, like you literally demolish like 2 or 3 trees and you can build like for a while. So like it's a lot less time consuming. I think that the maintenance, as far as like keeping yourself alive, is a lot easier and less reduced in No Man's Sky. I know with Ark, like you would constantly have to go get water, go get water, go get water, go get water, like
every
all the
like,
time,
every 5 minutes,
until you got to the point where you could craft like a big like canteen kind of thing, to where you could just like drink it, anytime you needed it.
Yeah.
But for a while, it was just like, oh, I gotta go find a river, and if there's no river around, you're screwed.
Yeah,
like,
you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead. So
really puts the survival perspective.
but with No Man's Sky, there's 2 things that are kind of like you have to kind of maintain. There's your oxygen level, and there you have a suit that protects you from like radioactive activity or cold, heat, any kind of storms, that kind of thing. And so you have to kind of pump that up with materials. But the materials are always readily available. Like they're pretty much everywhere. I think one of them runs off of carbon, which is like in everything.
Yeah.
And then like oxygen, there's like little oxygen plants and like little gems and stuff that you can get oxygen like from pretty easily. So they made that a lot less of a chore. But I think the biggest pro of this game is the map is freaking massive. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's pretty much infinite. Like I read this. I don't know how true this is, but I was like, I just Googled like, how big is the No Man's Sky map? And they said if you traveled to each planet and spent 1 second on each planet and can travel to them instantaneously, like you could just warp there, it would take you 585 billion years to visit all the planets.
That sounds like they're just like, let's just make a big number. Nobody's gonna check.
Right.
How can you check that?
But apparently there is a center to this universe, because that is like your ultimate goal, is to find the center of the universe.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like watching some videos and stuff, because I doubt that I will play this game to finality.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of watching some videos and stuff, and like, to be honest, like one of my cons is the end kind of seemed a little anticlimactic.
So have you seen people get to the center of the universe? Okay.
Yeah, and essentially like he just warped into this galaxy, which was like the center of the universe, and then went to the very like center star or whatever, and like landed on one of the planets near it, and like just continued to kind of play the game. Like it wasn't like nothing happened, nothing crazy happened. Like so I was just like, maybe I don't know, maybe I didn't watch into it enough to like to know.
I mean that's super realistic. If you were to get to the center,
I guess
of the
you just
universe,
like you just land your ship like, I made it.
But at that point, it kind of feels like an Easter egg. You're like, well, like what happens in this game if I get to the center of the universe?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh, nothing happens. You're just at the center of the universe.
Right. So maybe, I don't know, but there was also like some boss battles and stuff, which I'm not really sure how boss battles work, because I haven't really gotten to the point where I'm like fighting big creatures, but I think that's really all it is. I think you just go to like certain planets and find like, oh, there's this big ass creature over here, I'm gonna kill it, so some other cons is it's a mining crafting game. It's just if you don't like mining crafting games, don't waste your money, because you're probably not gonna like it. It's still got that theme for sure. although the map is huge, it does seem to be a little bit repetitive.
Yeah.
I think it's at least starting out.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of different planets, have all different kinds of flora and fauna, and like you know, all kinds of creatures and stuff and scenery. They give you a camera so you can take pictures if you're into that kind of thing, like, you know. And I mean, the graphics are decent. Like, they're not the greatest, but I mean, it's pretty cool to like see. You know, I think it's really cool to kind of see space. You know what I mean? Like, you can literally, and it's seamless. I was kind of wondering, like, okay, if I'm in this planet's atmosphere, like once I break, you know, the plane, like what's that going to look like? How's that going to? But it's like seamless. I mean, it's pretty cool. Like you can like hover over the ozone layer basically, you know, and kind of like see space and then look down here and see the planet. Like, it's pretty cool. I will say that, but it does seem to be a bit repetitive. Like, planets they're really, I mean, they're different because there's some that are like teeming with life, and then there's some that are just like barren wastelands, and they all have like different resources that you can collect and gather and stuff from them, but a little bit repetitive, which is most mining crafting games. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I think that gives it a little bit of a boost because it's like in Minecraft, you just have to kind of walk around. Okay.
At least there is space travel.
Right, yeah. You're in space, like flying around. Like, that's cool. That makes going to Minecraft a little bit more exciting.
Right, and there's all kinds of, you know, spaceships that you can purchase and upgrade and stuff like that. There's, I mean, my friend Brandon just bought this huge freaking freighter. You know, like, I mean, it's massive, and it's got like guns mounted on it. It looks badass, but like, it's just this massive, you know, ship that you can store stuff. You can put all your ships in it. You can put a bunch of, it can hold a bunch of, you know, goods and stuff like that. And then what's cool about it is whenever he travels to other galaxies, like, he can call that freight, and like whatever ships you have out there, like, just warp over with you. So it's like your whole fleet just kind of moves through the galaxy with you.
Now that, I think, is probably the coolest part.
It is pretty cool. Like,
I own space now.
I was also wondering, like, okay, like if I own 5 spaceships and like, I really need this spaceship, but it's 105 light years away. Like, oh my god, I got to go back in time. You know, so like, I was wondering how they're gonna like do that, but it makes it super easy. You can just call all your ships and boom. The story mode, I did find out, and like I said, I'm still working through this, but it gives you the option to opt out of the story mode. You know, which I don't like that, because like, I hate when games are like, hey, make this decision, but hey, be careful, it's like your fate. You know, like, if you want to continue the storyline, you better choose right. Like, because if you don't, like, you know, you can't go back.
Right.
But it was like, basically gave you the option. I was like searching through the galaxies for these like signals that were being put out. So you'd go to the signal and like, it would give you like a different little quest to go on and stuff. But then it got to the point where it's like, hey, do you want to continue to find these signals, or do you just want to explore the universe? And I was like, explore the universe, like, duh. And then it was just like, the only mission left is like, okay, enjoy your, you know, exploration, pretty much. Like, like, what? Like, that's it? Like, So I just opted out of the story mode. Like, I don't know. I didn't really like that.
I'm glad you're having fun finding these signals, but you know, this whole world is cool.
And like I said, some of the boss battles that I kind of seen online just kind of looked kind of lame. So I don't know. I think the whole ending was kind of anticlimactic. Now, I could be wrong. Like I said, I haven't gotten through the game's finality, but
I expect there to be the center of the universe. I expect there to be like a planet-eating creature that you just have to, you know, like, hope you survive against, and hope you have the biggest ship and the biggest guns.
Well, see, what
hope
I was
you have
hoping
friends
for,
who can warp in and help you.
Because I think you basically kind of have, like, there's a lot of options. Like, you can visit all these planets and, you know, build bases and build, you know, do structural buildings and stuff. You could probably eventually make a whole freaking city, you know, if you wanted to, or whatever, like, have the whole planet covered in your stuff, like, whatever. Or you could be like more like a space pirate, you know, which is like what I would want to do. Like, I want to get like some really awesome ships and like travel around and like get into fights. Like, I thought like spaceship battles were, but the only ones that I've been in so far, like, every now and then, if you're carrying like valuable goods, like, some other space pirates will come and attack you and trying to like take your goods, and you fight them for a little bit. That's the only fighting that I've gotten into. Like, if I'm talking about, I want some like Star Wars, like X-wing, you know,
which I thought that's what
like,
I thought that's what the game was supposed to kind of be like when I first saw it, which was what got me hyped. But then when I did realize, like, oh no, it's a mining crafting game and you travel around, I was like, maybe not. So I'm kind of hoping that some of that action might pick up, but I don't know. Well, they are standing by that game, man. They are not giving up. I know a lot of studios would have been like, well, that flopped. You know, we'll just move on to the next thing. But no, they're still working on it. So I think you'll get some more stuff in the future.
Yeah.
Hopefully for free. I would imagine so.
I hope so, because the game was $50.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when they always announced that game and talked about it, it always seemed like it was too good to be true. Like, what they were promising and what they were showing were two different things. And that was a big deal at one point, where people were kind of like, what you're showing us doesn't really make sense. And then they'd ask him questions. He's like, well, I can't really answer that, or So then when the game came out, it was just like, yeah, this isn't what we expected, and it just kind of flopped. But obviously, I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's just not what everybody expected it to be. So if you can enjoy it for what it actually is, then it's it's a good game.
I think there's definitely like a lot of potential for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they could definitely expand upon it and make it. I think this. I mean, you could essentially make this game something for everybody. You know, like if you want that fighting kind of aspect, you can make better bosses. You can make better space fights.
Or even just like or quantity. I mean, like if you're going to a planet and you see that planet is just teeming with pirates. I mean, how much harder would you think you would have to work to get a better ship to go take on those pirates?
Yeah, but also I think that because right now I believe they limit the amount of people to 16 per server. So whenever they open, if they put like 1,000 people in a server, because I mean you could technically do that because the galaxy, I say, dude, it's massive. Like, you might not run into anybody. Yeah. But I'm just wondering, like, and this is another tangent we could get off on, but like, you just know how there's a lot of douchebags out there that are just gonna all they're gonna do is like come and mess with you and troll you and like. So I'm wondering like what that's going to look like in the future. But
let me tell you, not good.
I was just about to say, it might turn out like Ark Survival. I mean, where you build up and you just have to backbuild everything.
Yeah. Oh, that was another thing
up
too.
By another player.
We would build our base camp in Ark Survival, and then depending upon what we had going on in life, we might not get back to it for another week. And when you upload your stuff, like someone's built like right next to you, and they're stealing all your resources and destroying your camp, and like you're just like,
because that was stayed persistent, right? Like even though you logged off, stuff was happening around, right? Yeah, that affected you.
And I think they protected you up to a certain point, but if you didn't log into a certain amount of time, then they was like, okay, well it's free for all now. Like they can take your base and like take your stuff.
No.
Yeah, it was frustrating.
I wanted to be like every other video game. When I cut that off, like in WoW, sure, stuff's going, still people are still playing, but like nobody's stealing my stuff. Nobody's like, I'm not naked when I get on, or like anything, like all my money isn't missing, anything like that. So
and that's the thing, like if you get following the news with Fallout 76, they're moving to that kind of play style, and it's not as big, it's not huge servers or anything, but still there is that same issue. Like if I'm going to build a suit of power armor and I'm lacking materials and I go to log off and I come back to my base and all my materials are gone, I mean, I would be super pissed.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, I think what they're doing with that one is it's rather small. Like it'll be PvP in a way, but there's not going to be too many people. So like they're like, yeah, you may run into one or two, but it's not going to be something where you see like 15 people over here having a battle with each other. It's just like you might come across somebody and maybe they want to shoot you in the head and kill you and take your stuff. They can do that, but which I imagine a lot of people will. But for me, I've always done the PvP side because sometimes that's fun to do, to just like get in a battle with people are actually real on the other side. But for the most part, I like to just coast and like just do my own thing and not be bothered. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we've all been nerding out on.
Oh my God, yeah. that was fun.
So we'll wrap it up. I think in the future, like we're gonna have some social media outlets which we're gonna tag at the end of this episode.
Yes.
So we would love for you guys to interact with us. We really want to make this interactive. If you have any content you would like us to talk about, games you're playing, music you're listening to, movies you've seen, whatever, like anything, like everything's on the table here.
Yeah.
So
and I think we'll pick a few every episode and just kind of talk about what you mentioned. If you like. If we've played a game you're playing or seen a movie or something like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Between the diversified group that we have here, I'm pretty sure we can cover all the things.
Yep, I agree.
So cool. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, you've been listening to the 4020 podcast.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the 4D20 podcast. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media outlets, 4D20 podcast on Twitter and Insta, as well as like our Facebook page, 4D20 podcast. We love to hear your ideas, so feel free to